It's that little peanut crap.
We'll call the September workshop meeting to order.
Okay, here we
First
go.
item discussion, resolution to vacate Hunter Street. At the regular scheduled meeting of the Town Council of Appomattox, Virginia, held on the 24th of August, 2024, it was duly moved and seconded that the following resolution be adopted. Whereas it appears that to this Town Council that secondary Highway Route 1036 Hunter Street between Point B and C as shown on the attached sketch entitled Hunter Street Route 1036 Abandonment 10 of Appomattox and shown as Exhibit A serves no public necessity and is no longer necessary as part of the secondary system of state highways, and whereas the segment of roadway identified as Point B to Point C on the aforementioned sketch is 0.04 miles in length, and whereas Jameson Real Estate Incorporated is an adjoining property owner and has no objections to the vacation of the aforesaid segment of Hunter Street, and whereas the Town Council of Appomattox, Virginia believes that vacation of the aforesaid segment of Hunter Street is in the public interest, and whereas the process for vacation of the aforesaid portion of Hunter Street requires that the Appomattox County Board of Supervisors pass a resolution after a public hearing. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council of Appomattox, Virginia respectfully requests that the Appomattox County Board of Supervisors take the necessary steps to vacate the segment of secondary highway Route 1036 Hunter Street between points B and C as shown on the attached sketch.
Sally, you know something about
That's it.
This, apparently when it was originally submitted, it was missing some segments from the plat, and VDOT called it after the resolution went through. This is to clean up those items and do it again and finalize it.
Okay.
Move that we accept this is in the form of a resolution. Are we accepting resolution or just accepting a motion? Second. Is this a resolution?
Yes.
Okay. That we accept the resolution as presented.
A motion and a second to accept the resolution as presented. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Next is council comments. Ms. Allen.
I don't have anything.
Mr. Garrett.
Rob, where we at with the staff looking into the wells blending and all that whole scenario?
Gotten pretty much a lot of the information back. I should be able to get that out to you hopefully mid next week. We're checking with Hurt and Private to see if some of the testing was originally ever done. That was, that Jeff apparently talked about having completed. And we got some information on a couple of additional sites. And David just has to finish calculating the flows and then the cost to blend. He's going to try to get a better understanding of what that will cost, and then we have to have it tested with some samples back. He's got pretty much everything almost completed. Which we'll have that, see by mid next week, with some numbers and what the overall cost might be look like to get the wells back online.
So David is working on this and he's
Yes, ma'am.
not quite due. Okay.
He believed there was some old flow calculations, he was going to verify some of that.
That's all I have.
Mr. Boyce.
I have nothing.
Mr. Spiegel.
I have nothing.
Ms. Spiegel, excuse me. Mr. Simpson.
I'd just like to add a closed session to the next agenda to discuss the real estate transaction potential or under that exemption.
What is the date of that, the next meeting?
What's the date of the next meeting?
14th.
Let's not, because I'm going to be at VML, and I want to be here for that
That's
discussion.
right.
Okay.
Thank you.
It may,
Do we need a special meeting?
I'm thinking, because if we extend it out, I may send out an email and just ask questions and we might need to do some of this outside of a meeting to determine if we're going to do something or not.
Well, let's make sure we don't do anything that's required to be voided.
Right. Yeah. But I think if we could each maybe provide some sort of insight into where our heads are at, it could save us all a lot of trouble if it's an absolute no. And then we can avoid having to meet about it. Or if we're going to do it, we could call a special meeting if we think there's.
So you want to send everybody an email and request that they respond with their response, just one-on-one, not respond to your email, or how is, I want to make sure I'm not going to,
Well, it's
We'll
not
work it
gonna
out.
be a phone call. It's not a whole thing. It's just,
phone call would be better, I would think.
right, we just need to figure out where, does it make sense to have a meeting about this? Because if we're going to do it, we should probably do it on a
So-
quicker timeline than waiting until, the end of October, because it's getting into the holidays and that was one thing. If we could just ask for an update from Firefly on when we might get fiber. I had a email back from them. I sent them a request, just like, hey, when's it coming? And they asked that I called it to discuss, and I just haven't had a chance to give them a call. But I don't know when that might happen for in-town limits. That's all I have.
Ms. Puckett.
I would just ask where we are on the shrubbery around the depot. Did we made any progress there? Somebody asked me the other day
Did meet
if we
with
were going to have it ready for Railroad Day.
Yeah, I did meet with RSG representative week before last, and I did follow an email because he had not sent anything. So he sent me an email, I just saw it this evening, he wants to meet to look at the proposal. We have received one proposal from Land Tech Group, which has a very reputable background. Their idea is starting fresh, removing everything. The RSG proposal on site, he thinks we should save some stuff, and some of those arborvitae greenery trees are so subject to being damaged with bagworms and stuff. I don't know how you guys feel, and I know it's hard to say without a plan, but I would think starting fresh would be better. I'm not a landscaper and I'm not a vegetation expert, but some of the bushes around the building look a little dated.
Yeah, some of them have holes in them, like
Yeah.
they weren't appropriate
So I
for
think
that
just
area.
trying to trim and save might not be the best.
Well, and we've had
long-term
this
investment.
discussion, council has had, as a council, together, and we all agreed, we've had this discussion more than once, and by consensus, we never voted, we wanted to pull everything up
Yeah.
and get rid of it and plan, knowing the cost, but because of it's so archaic, and as Jane says, it's coming apart when you examine it. We just wanted to get rid of everything and start over.
So I'll see if I can meet with him this week and get it ironed out what his ideas or final plan's gonna be, but he's saying he's gonna give us a drawing. The other company is looking more of a commitment, and then they'll present a landscape plan with all the type of vegetation with the guarantee of the price that they've already quoted. So
think that's all I,
It's kind of hard to give somebody a commitment before you even see what their plans are. I'm just saying,
Well, we know, you're gonna know what you're gonna spend,
yeah,
and then, I guess, they're just gonna present a computer-generated layout.
AI stuff.
Once you tell them, hey, we want you to do it, they're gonna give you
Okay.
another company's gonna give you a real plan with species and probably a mock-up of how it would look in the future with the building. Just thinking some of the things down there, with the investment that the town has done to improve the depot, I'm not sure trimming and saving.
And
That
when
was
it's
not what
depot,
we-
it's gonna go all the way down, right? It's gonna replace those trees too? Because those.
Not all the way down Main Street.
Okay, I
This
thought
was
we
the
had talked
depot
about those.
project,
Those have
Jane.
been
Oh.
done, and Kim has shared that we might have some additional money if they need to be
Okay.
replaced.
I know, because those grates are coming uneven. They're like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
those trees aren't appropriate either, so.
Right.
So this plan would re-landscape in front of the parking lot, all the way down in front of the building, and then wrap around.
Oh, okay.
and
It's just a
possibly we
depot
have
plan.
Some funding, something in the back to, when you come up, you
Yeah.
don't just see the air conditioners that are out there. So,
And like after we finish that, if we then talk about, well, hey, let's just take it all the way down, but this original plan was always
It's just for
about,
the depot.
yeah, but we're just not having a lot of good luck with, because Railroad Festival's going to be here, I would believe, before we get that done. This is frustrating.
the 100-year celebration will come and go before we get it done if we don't hurry up.
Let's hope not.
The landscaping in the Oak Court Houseway project, that really looks nice. I don't know if you've had a chance to go up there and see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Um, so,
anyway,
Do you know if we're responsible for maintaining that?
Tori, I looked at the agreement today, and the only thing we guaranteed was the lights. Because that's a lot of landscaping.
because
Yeah.
somebody asked me, a citizen of the town asked me that just last night, and I said, now who's going to handle, who's going to take care of, maintain all that?
Yeah, it's gotta be watered or it's gonna die.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had rain for days, but it looked like grass was
I mean,
planted,
a
but
couple
that
of the trees already
died.
look like they're on the
Ain't no
best
grass
shape.
no more, they worked all day today putting mulch all in that.
Yeah,
But it looks
yeah, it's
good.
gotta be.
So it's not in the agreement at all that the town maintain,
If we could see. we're right.
because
Well,
my
a little deeper,
memory,
Because Tori, what
Lights.
raised her question about it
And
was,
power.
when you push snow and the chemicals,
yeah.
They'll
who's
kill it.
gonna be responsible for that?
If my memory serves me correctly, and things may have changed, when we originally agreed to do that, I believe we were told by VDOT, and I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was here then, Timmy was, that we, after it was all in place and planted, that, and I know about the lamps, but this is the shrubs and the trees, that the town would be responsible, because that's it. When VDOT's finished, that's it, we're done, we're gone. So logically, and I believe that's what was said, but it could have changed. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Let's see if we can get a definite
Yeah.
answer. We didn't see anything.
So it would be us that
today.
would have to maintain it. And we, of course, said fine.
It should have been a meeting back when we met, VDOT come and give us a whole spiel
Yeah.
of what they were gonna do. And like I said, we only agreed to the lights and maintaining the lights and power.
Let's
Yeah.
see anything we could find, but we'll go a little
We
deeper.
need to know for sure.
Yeah, she was trying to find that information.
Okay.
Okay, well,
All right. Council Standing Committee reports, Finance and Planning.
I don't have anything. Thank you, Kim, for the report.
We'll be using.
Do we know where we are on Lee Grant, to where we could
Yeah.
we could put this money in
Right.
place for that?
Do you want me to speak about that now?
Yeah, I'd let Kim do her financial
Okay.
piece, and then we can talk about the plan
Okay.
that's up there in front of you.
I wanted to bring your attention on the report to slurry of streets. That's in the first general part, about 6 days, Lee Grant and Burke. I just want to let you know that we did talk about allocating some money to the streets. I think that's part of the discussion we're having now with Lee Grant too. So it's 41,500 was already allocated. We haven't started that, we haven't done anything, but I just want to let y'all know that that was already in the money to slurry the streets. The other thing that I wanted to say was the town building study. The reason I went over a little bit is because you remember we have some more issues that we wanted to continue to explore, and we had a legal issue, so all that has been put into that ARPA money too. So that's the very last one under the general fund. So I just wanted to let you know that. I say completed, but I don't know, that's up to you guys if you're gonna go back in it or not, or allocate some more, or want to see some more activity. Then the well research, that had started, and we ended it because I think, if I can remember correctly, Jeff thought it might have been too early for 2030. So when I heard you all talking, that was engineering already done. So that's, we just stopped it. So 13,875 was spent, 13,875. So I don't know if y'all want to revisit that. Those are the three things I kind of wanted to point out to you on what you have started, but I may have marked as completed, but I don't know if you all want to go further in those areas or not. And there's a new one kind of brewing, and maybe Nathan can help me with this more. I know Kristen's checking into some IT changes. So she was hoping to have a quote today, but she doesn't have it, but that's just something I can't even give you any more information on. But she was saying a lot of upgrades and better security and capabilities, but I can't tell you how much, so Nathan, do you know more?
Yeah, I don't really know, I guess, order of magnitude on what the quote's gonna be, but between that and the cameras, it could be substantial-ish relative to, it could be close to $100,000 or something, yeah, I don't know. I think we could probably, I think the best strategy is to dispose of this, or allocate this money as quickly as we can on stuff that we're doing. And that would probably be easiest for Kim, so we don't leave her hanging until the
Well,
final
it's just a hard
countdown.
deadline. If you don't make it,
Yeah.
That's right,
it's
we in
gone.
trouble.
I mean, it's not really, and it's, it has to be obligated by the end of the year, meaning legally in the books that you can't retract from it.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that what you decide to use it for, to kind of leave yourself, make a broad statement, if you understand what I'm saying, like IT and cameras, don't get too specific, because what I find sometimes on the grants, if you don't use it all, maybe you can tag something on the back that's still under that umbrella. You don't want to get too specific, because then they'll say, well, that's not related. Do you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So kind of give a,
Broad idea.
yeah.
I think certainly that did happen with the downtown grant thing.
Get so
Specific. That's exactly what happened, when we had a little extra money, but we were able to use it. We used all of it.
So that's all I have to say about ARPA, except we definitely, we're getting into the last quarter, so.
So,
we got to
I mean,
work
I
on
think
that.
Go get
we need to
What
go
do we
ahead.
need to do? Like, if this were just bullet points and we couldn't leave the room until we decide, what is the prerequisite information we're still waiting on?
For the Lee grant.
We're waiting on the engineering numbers?
For the lead grant project, which is up there before you, Tori and I and Chad Hodges met.
Yeah.
So the proposal is to replace the sidewalks along the Lee Grant from approximately 3-foot wide sidewalk to a 4-foot wide sidewalk. That would still leave the street a two-way street, it would be very tight. And then we originally planned, when Jeff had sent this out, 400-foot of pavement replacement and sidewalks along Burke Street. But after reviewing Burke Street, there's only 2 sections of sidewalk that need to be replaced, because the majority of it was done about 15 years ago, and they're in still really good shape. The problem with Burke Street is the road is not in good shape, especially when you get to the
Right.
end down here at Linden. So he talked about, with some of the savings from replacing all the sidewalk, to go ahead and pave all of Burke Street, so it all ties in, it's done, it's safe, all the ruts are out of the road. But when I went back to look at Lee Grant, we're gonna lose about 12 inches of pavement if we go to a 4-foot wide sidewalk. The existing sidewalk down Lee Grant is about 3 foot. So you're gonna come and you're gonna bump out 12 inches, go down. So what makes sense to me is what I'd like to see if you guys agree is we go back to a 3-foot sidewalk, which meets ADA compliance.
Yep.
But every 200 feet, we have to have a driveway or some kind of bypass area that's be 60 inches wide. So just go back and see if we can meet that. It will be a 6-inch curb increase, so to me, it's better to make it 3 foot and leave that 12 inches of pavement there, because now to drive up on the sidewalk is gonna be a little less enticing, because it's gonna be a
Sarah.
little tired.
And that's happening sometimes on Burke Street.
Yeah, so I think the safety of it is, it makes more sense to me to keep the sidewalk consistent, keep the pavement as much as we can. And it's my understanding, talking to folks, that the school is willing to alter the bus routes to get them off of there. We just need to have that conversation with Dr. Tibbs when we decide. So Chad is asking that we, to make a decision, if we want to move on this, we'll probably get that to bid within the next 2 weeks.
To the decision and with including the three.
Yeah, and I'll, have to follow back up with Chad. I don't see why that would be a major issue. To me, it just, we would have to add a section of guardrail where the wood line is, where it drops off. There's nothing protecting anybody from falling out.
Talking about the handrail?
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a great cost in that. So Chad is believing that we can still do all of this for under $1 million. I think if you drop the sidewalk width back, that's bound to be an additional cost savings along the grant.
Well, that makes sense.
Well, I definitely think you ought to leave the sidewalk at 3 feet.
I do too.
Yeah,
Me
because it's
too.
tight.
Yeah.
And
Well, were you saying they were going up on on Burke Street, they're going up on the,
Yeah, I have.
well, they do it all the time. You can see it all the time on Lee Grant. They're up on the sidewalk,
yes.
constantly. That's part of the
To me,
the
that
big
makes
issues.
sense,
Yes.
to keep it consistent, to keep as much width as we can.
Yeah, it saves you a little too.
So if they're higher,
You said we had to have a passing zone, for lack of a better term,
You-
every 200 feet
Yeah.
or less. And could that be accommodated into the driveways
You
of the
can use the
current?
driveway,
That we would, to meet our requirements and
ADA compliance.
to hopefully not disrupt the neighborhood and show a choice of goodwill, the town would use their driveways as those crossover points.
And the other thing, just make sure everybody understands, by doing this improvement, VDOT is never going to take this stretch of road back in,
Right.
because they want, as you know, through the smart scale requirement. So this will be the town's to maintain, but it will be a more attractive, safer alternative than we have now.
And I think it would please the folks that live
The
over
residents.
there a
Yeah.
lot more. I mean, this is their street. I know a lot of people wanted it to be large and larger and all that, but if you do that, some of those people will walk out and sit on the porch, and the cars will be right at them going by 'em.
Yeah, if we
And,
widen it out.
I think it will take away the value of their property, and you have to pay them now or later, I guess, but
So if the consensus is we move forward, I will reach out to Chad in the morning and say, let's cut the sidewalk back, let's get this going and get it to bid.
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm in agreement. Is everybody else?
Yes.
Can we get a motion?
I make a motion that we go to 3 feet
And
do,
do
With
what?
accommodations.
And I'll second it.
Yeah.
Motion made, properly seconded.
And get
to
that
Move
rolling.
forward with the
What accommodations? Make that clear.
ADA accommodations
ADA.
required.
Okay.
that's what Rob already
Yes.
said. But yeah,
It'll meet all the requirements.
Motion made and properly seconded to move forward with the Lee Grant Avenue sidewalk project and paving.
Yes.
Paving of Burke.
Any further discussion?
What money y'all want to use?
Yeah,
whatever
that's
we got
another
of the
We've already voted.
ARPA. Use as much of the ARPA as you, what you need. And I guess if there's any more, we'll pay for it.
Let's think about, I mean, it's up to y'all. Is there any reason not to use ARPA for this and to use just general fund reserves? Or it's
Both of
six
them
or
are
half a
sitting in an
dozen?
account,
Okay.
yeah.
Then-
So it's not a matter of time, and both are sitting in your bank account, so,
Cool,
yeah. So it's not a, you're not gonna get offer any faster.
okay.
It's, yeah, I'm just
Can,
saying.
can we just put the full amount of ARPA, the full remaining balance, and can we bill program management time against ARPA? Like if this takes staff time or something? You can just, it's just a contract.
Is it the unknown of not knowing the,
Yeah.
If you
We
think
don't know
we're
what the
gonna
bid
have
will
some
be.
left over, can we spend it on something?
Was a part of the project.
I got something else to
Okay.
spend it on.
okay.
All right,
All
and
right,
then
let's-
we,
let's-
and if we have
let's-
to take a little out of general.
All right, let's finish this out.
So before you make that decision, should I just get with him to get the hard number of what they
Yeah.
think it's gonna be put out for bid for?
Yep.
So we'll know
Well,
more or less than.
My motion was just to make it 3 feet and meet the requirements, the rest of the engineering that provided to us. And then we're gonna have to come back and see how we're gonna,
I can't
Pay for it.
imagine why he's gonna tell me tomorrow you can't go 3 feet when it's ADA compliant, but,
no,
Yeah.
3
We're
feet's
gonna
all
have to
we
do a
need.
budget amendment anyway
Yeah,
for this, so it's, yeah.
I would normally do those this month, but we're kinda in flux, so
yeah.
I'm trying to wait, because then you have to do a public hearing, and I just don't want us to have to do several public hearings, so I'm kinda holding back a little bit on those.
Because we need to get the contract in place, so we don't want
And move on.
more than
We need
one
the project in place. Okay.
public hearing, because we've got to advertise in advance for that.
Motion made, properly seconded. Roll call?
We ain't spending money, we just
Yeah, we just make,
changing the
All right.
foot. But we vote.
All in favor of the motion as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Ayes have it, the motion carries. Please move forward with that. Physical Development Committee. What do we have any, and I was gonna do ARPA
I don't-
separate.
The physical development hadn't met, but, you finished, Claudia? on
Yes.
this? Okay. In physical development, we hadn't met or nothing, but I wanna bring up to the committee and through council we had a capital improvement line to put SCADA systems into all these wells. We told them we'd bring them online. I wanna move forward to get that done, whatever we need to do to have that in place and get these wells online. After we find out what health department's gonna tell us we gotta do, get them where we can cut them on through the SCADA system and assist where we using water from Campbell County right now.
Use it.
Because
To
we're gonna
blend.
get caught with our britches down. Because if something was to take off here in town, growth-wise, we'll be in sad shape if we
Yes, we
don't.
will.
So I think the Harper or whoever money Harper,
ARPA.
we need to pull back at, I think we held off on the SCADA for the wells.
Yeah, that's what, I think it was part of the well.
Do you know how much that was?
Originally, I don't, it's on my computer.
We need to pull that number back and get an
Yeah.
update. I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it
Rob,
150?
To allocate it
It
back.
was 60 or 70 for the wells, just the SCADA system, to tie them into the network, so the pumps will know when to come on with the tank levels.
But didn't we appropriate 150 to do water
It was over
stuff?
That's the wells
Okay.
And
research.
the well, all
It was
this
under well
water
research.
already?
But we didn't spend the well research
We
money.
ended it, and I
Right.
just ended it
Yeah.
where we stopped with the 13.
Which
I
was
can
13.
see what originally we said though.
So if we need to meet on all this, we can before the next meeting if y'all want to, but we need to move forward
Yes, we did.
with the well research, we need to move forward with blending water, and it's gonna take a little time to get the SCADA system up and running. That needs to just pull the trigger on it after you get some updated prices, I think, and go with it, because we had it in capital improvement, but we took it out for whatever reason.
We need someone, you know, I don't really know how else to say this other than the knowledge of wells in Appomattox County are distributed, was distributed between two people, and one of them's dead. Then you had Fred Jones, who no one else knew as much about what's under the dirt in this county than he did. And you have Jeff. And we're not currently contracted with Jeff, to my knowledge. And a lot of the studies, I mean, I went through it back in May. I was pulling binders from the Public Works office, and I went through and I scanned some of them. But like, there's been studies done as far back as the 70s and 80s that we paid, back then we probably paid $30,000 or $40,000 for them. And I think we need to revisit those, get them all in one place, and figure out what are the possible locations for wells. And then are there some that are tied together? Because you could get capacity issues if you start pulling one from that is in the same fracture zone.
So I was talking
Updated
about
engineering. I
these
think.
wells that we already had running.
Yeah.
We took them out of service when we went on the water line. Those are the wells I'm talking about. It's like 4
Yeah.
that we could bring on like that, because we've already been testing them. We just need to get an updated test, I think is what Dave is working on, and find out the analysis of what we got to blend water. We're going to have to add whatever level chlorine or whatever. That's what we need to know.
So there's a test that's gonna be required once we start blending it with the water we're getting now.
Right.
To see what that does, and that's what the health department will test.
But we're going to have to blend a little bit. That's going to be a learning process.
Exactly.
But the SCADA system, we got to have that in as a backbone to tell the pumps to come on every how many hours a day to whatever we program it to do.
Okay.
But
Those studies that
Jeff
you were
is gonna know
talking
why.
about would probably, why, I don't think probably, they were about the existing wells or possibility in town. But what we were talking about with the water line and the acquisition of the water line, and Jeff was describing to us that these potential wells would be between the town and along the water line, that there was many, so that would not really have been in those old
I
reports.
think there's some, but that portion of the county historically doesn't perk well. So
But
that's
Jeff
what I'm
said
worried
that
about.
there are places
Right.
along that water line that they do perk well, and he's brought that up more than once.
I think
several
there's a lot of-
times.
and that's, Jeff and I had this conversation a lot. He is very smart about common sense where to find stuff, but we don't have him anymore, and we need to go behind, his work and his theory or whatever, and get the engineering done to see, can we flow test this? Can we rely on it when we need it?
Right.
So yeah, that's where my head's at. I think there's been a lot of work that's been done.
just need to put it
We
together.
need to put it together.
Yeah.
I would like to
Add some
get
new to
Rob-
the old.
get staff, Rob, whatever, to reach out to Jeff. You brought Jeff up.
Yeah.
Jeff, for his knowledge, not coming in to work, but on a phone call basis. Reach out to Jeff and say, hey, will you help us, assist us as a phone call? Because we're going to have him to have input to the people who can be doing the study and the SCADA stuff. He's got his hands all over that.
Okay.
So we need to find out what he's gonna charge us for a phone call and pay him.
I'll find out from Tori too, if she has any information.
And pull that piece into our operation to make sure we ain't, cracking all the eggs in it.
We need to
Basket.
do that this time too, because we've asked about bringing Jeff, getting a contract in place with him, even if we only use it,
Phone call right now.
yeah, for 10 phone calls, and then the contract's done, whatever.
So we need to
We
move
just-
on that.
Yeah.
So
We haven't, have we? We haven't done anything about that.
I don't think so.
But he will
Whatever
help us.
you can
I
work
talked- he
out,
called me
bring it
not
back
long
to
ago.
us.
He will help us.
And
I'll
it's
reach out to him tomorrow.
I don't know how we can do it,
just as
approving
independent.
anything tonight, but the consensus of us, if everybody's
Yeah.
consensus
Yes.
is to pay him what it's worth.
Absolutely. Well researched, back in April of 2022, $80,000 you all allocated for SCADA and to get 3 wells online.
So has that not been spent right?
No, y'all just decided to end it, and we ended it after putting in 13,000, and we just stopped the project.
So we just have 13,000.
What did we sit there?
That's what we spent, but originally you had budgeted or allocated 80,000.
That's leaning more towards Nathan was talking about research on future wells. What my initially thinking is, we already got wells sitting here ready to cut the switch on.
That's right.
But we can't go down manually cut it on every day we need to come on.
Yeah.
We need the SCADA system to make it operate. It ties it all in to what we got going on with Campbell County. And
Okay.
that needs to happen.
Flow testing,
Well,
start
the
using.
sooner, perhaps the better.
That's what I'm saying.
You're exactly right on that.
I think this brings up, like the broader point on utilities and public works. What do we need to do to get candidates for that position? Do we have candidates?
Public Works? Yeah, we have, I think, I talked to Tori today, we might have 2 to interview that are pretty positive looking. The first round, we've got a couple that might be worth bringing in. And I can share those resumes with you if you'd like to see them,
Love to.
to get them in here.
But we wouldn't have anything to do with the hiring of them.
No, it should be left to staff, and then maybe your personnel committee. But,
What's the timeline on the soonest we could have a feasible hire?
if these interview well and they check out, I mean, it's probably 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
These applicants have experience in public service. I mean,
Yeah, some are in water and sewer and
Local government.
boots on the ground. A lot of those,
Okay.
I mean, we have a lot of people who
Just applied.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's more than just finding a body. You need to find a body that can do what you're asking them to do.
I want to
Absolutely.
find out how you got that.
Okay. Where?
So far as going back to physical development, do we, I don't know if, we've already got enough stuff in place and it's already been somewhat approved to move forward with this stuff, so I don't know, other than the future, what you was talking about, adding future stuff, I think we can move forward for a meeting on it, anything on, because it's already been, the groundwork's been set and we've already basically approved it, but
And the
just
Physical
need to go
Development
do it.
Committee is here and we're listening to this.
Yeah.
And I'm in agreement, I don't know about Nathan,
the SCADA system is the biggest thing.
without having to have another
Get an update
meeting.
on the quote and pull the trigger on it tomorrow.
Go with it.
Yeah,
Because you gotta have it. And it basically, if you don't know, you gotta have either microwave or communication at each well site, a little dish or antenna that'll talk back to the system. And you add that into the system and it has the capabilities of telling you how long to pump, when to cut on and off and all that. So you can cut them all on at one time or just cut this one on, and it keeps up your run time. It's just automated. It's making your wells automated, is what you're doing, and tying it into the Campbell County line, because that's what they use to operate how much the pumps at Concord need to run for us. So we need to blend water and just kind of just move our total amount of flow up to where we can accommodate, because we don't want to sit back. We've sat back too long. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
We need to move forward with it so we can, if something comes and knocks on the door, wants to come to Appomattox, we gotta be able to handle it.
Yep.
Right now,
We can't.
we can handle a house or two, but,
We don't want them to wait and go somewhere else.
well, they ain't gonna
You're
wait.
right.
They ain't
Well,
gonna wait.
you're
We're gonna
right.
look at what we got and go on.
Yeah, I think it's important to, I agree with you, Timmy, but we do have, it's just very clear, we do have capacity.
Oh, yeah.
It's
but-
just we haven't put that into writing in the way that we should, in making it available, I think, and this is a step
And
towards
some of that needs to be
I would
cleaned
love
up
to
too.
see when the day came when they may cut the water off. We are ready to go.
Right.
Well,
So
this
whatever they
plan-
do, they can
we've
do.
got-
I
And
don't
we are
know.
ready to do something, and we can protect everybody in the
citizens,
town. That's right.
our
I mean, that's what
customers.
we're here for.
we do have some potential business growth. We do, that we're aware of. We're not ready to
But we
discuss
can.
any of that. But we do have some real potential for it. We do. So we absolutely have to move forward with this as fast as we can. not just talk about it, but move on this.
I'm ready to pull the trigger on all of it and go.
Okay.
And I think to keep situations like this from happening again, not like, this from happening again, but we gotta start documenting and keeping, the reasoning behind certain decisions and just keeping it written so that we can understand how decisions were made and know where we're at. Because right now, before this meeting, we didn't really know exactly where we stood with any given project, so.
Well, I think having a town manager and
Public Works Director.
all that, I mean,
Let's
we've
get
had
all that in
setbacks.
place, it'll be easier.
Setbacks.
And that would be part of the job
Yes.
description of the manager and the public works director.
And the clerk.
Yep.
And
keeping all of that organized makes it easier to get grants, easier to get engineering done.
Along those same lines, and I know it's something we discussed in the not too distant past, was the comprehensive plan. I don't know when it needs to be updated
Next
again.
year.
Next year.
All right, so we need to be looking into that. Including the southern bypass. I want to talk to you about that one.
South Side Connector Route,
That sounds like a good title.
AKA Harvey Connor Boulevard.
No, I don't need to have Connor in there. Let's talk about
Interagency
Steve.
meetings, you get that boat moving.
I may see it by the time I have a great-grandbaby.
Well, that's
Well, you being mighty optimistic.
that's about the best way to get the buses off of Lee Grant Avenue, so it's that southern connector.
So going back to what we just, moving forward with it, Kim, what do we have to do to, I know we've gotten prices on the SCADA system and the well research, the money, is the money there?
You all, if you want to put the budget back up to the 80,000 less the 13, you all just decided not to pursue it. That's why it stopped in ARPA.
So far as
At the
our
time.
budget, if we're gonna take some money out of the ARPA fund or whatever to pay for it, how,
I would recommend, just because of how our water runs so tight, I wouldn't take it out of operating. That's just my.
operating,
Yeah, I would.
Well, that's
not,
what I was
because
thinking.
water is still trying to balance itself.
stabilize?
Yeah, so I would not, with the rate increases we've been having and everything, I would not dip into that water operating. I would,
But the only other is,
the operating.
Yeah.
Can you pull it out off?
I can set the ARPA back to the original 80, and then we have used 13 of it, and we'll just
They
continue.
give us 66,000.
Yeah, so is
For the
that what you
SCADA
would like to
system
see?
Yeah.
around
let's-
60-some thousand was. I'm
Let's
sure
do
some
it.
updates.
The ARPA as quick as you can.
Okay, so I guess a vote to set it back to the 80 less the expenses.
I'll make a motion to do that.
Second.
Motion.
Motion made, properly seconded to
Let's slow down a minute.
reopen the well research.
Kim's ink
Budget.
will come out the pen that
Getting
quick.
it done.
As long as it's not red ink, we're good.
Okay, well,
To reestablish the budgeted item in the ARPA for well research to $80,000.
so Rob will.
Any further discussion?
Can we can pay Jeff out of that too, can we, Rob?
That'll be part of it.
It's his
Part of that project.
consultant.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Anything else from physical? Alrighty. And staff reports. Madam Clerk.
Just wanted to give an update on my certification. So far, I've done 6 points. So I'm expected to be certified by July of 2026. I inventoried the minutes and it revealed missing minutes from 1948 to 1976. Those minutes were on file with the Library of Virginia, and they have been sent over to Backstage Library Works to be digitized. So we'll have those in a couple of months. Nathan needed them, as well as Reverend Jones was looking for something from 1950. I have attached your schedules for 2025 for your council meeting and workshops, so that is included. we do, it looks like y'all have some unfinished business from the retreat that needs to be accomplished. And I have those items listed below. What I would like to do is have a council of two council members and I to complete those items. We could probably do it in one session, maybe an hour, to be able to present them at the October 29th workshop. And Ms. Spiegel and Mr. Simpson have already volunteered for that. If the
Did we have
council is okay with that.
do we have a date? Well, let them agree.
I think that sounds fine. That's with me,
What's the items, unfinished business?
right here.
There were the items from the retreat. They had due dates on them. Rules of procedures is one. I think that we could probably accomplish that and then get the attorney to look at it. Between me and Nathan, we've pulled from several localities some of their rules of procedures. And then also you have bylaws. Some localities use bylaws and some just use the charter. They don't use both. And then I'd already started working on the council member handbook, getting that ready for the next election cycle. So I was almost through with that anyway. So
the committee we would talk about,
we were looking at the 18th, that Friday.
but as I said, I'm fine with that, but with baby due.
Nathan said,
Oh, I thought it was the 10th.
no.
Yeah, the 18th probably won't work.
You think the baby will be here?
Or
What's the
not.
Friday
If it is.
before?
Well, if the baby's here, then I can skedaddle out of my house. But the problem is if I'm sitting in a
It ain't
hospital
gonna happen
chair.
that way, that quick.
With me and Miss Big will come to
She
you.
might come help me. They'll hold the baby and let you work.
Kaylee might be less than pleased if I...
We can do, I think it's Friday the 11th,
Yeah.
Friday the 11th at 10 a.m.
Yeah, I'm looking at,
I think it's
the 11th, Friday the 11th.
Friday, October 11th.
Yeah.
And what time, so I'll know, what time will we begin?
We were looking at 10 a.m.,
That's
10 to
fine.
11.
10, or longer if we, or
If we
shorter.
need- If we need be.
Because some of these things, we were, when we went into retreat with the Berkeley group, talking about procedures of etiquette, is I'm saying it right? Yeah, with dealing with each other, those kind of things, and we said we were going to do that, and we did not do that, so.
Thanks for
It's
the
not just
understanding.
that, but that's one of the things.
Yeah, there was 4 items, and the 4th one was hiring a town manager. So y'all are already working
We're
on
on
that.
the right road to do that. So Friday, October 11th, 10 to 11, or longer.
Yeah, if that's all right with everybody else.
Sounds good.
What are we going to call this committee meeting? We have a name for it? Huh?
The Ethics Committee,
Ethics,
the Rules Committee.
the rules.
Need to have one.
And plus, as you said, the council handbook. I don't remember ever having one of those.
They were under all of y'all's seated locations.
Yeah,
We would get one, you got one when you were sworn in.
I reckon. I don't know.
Yeah, and I didn't get one, but when we get this new group, we're gonna do things different.
Oh, slow your roll, what do you mean new group?
Well, whoever, the next people, they're gonna do it.
gonna do
Oh, maybe us, I don't know.
Have you seen something in the tea leaves that I need to know about?
We know that Claudia, unfortunately, will not be back
Yeah,
with
so
us
somebody new will be here.
due to
I'm going to the house.
That was part of the conversation with the Berkeley group, like just what overall lacked when I came on board, things that I just never received, so.
That's all I have.
Okay.
A lot of that's common sense. You just gotta
Write it out.
have some ethics, have some morals, and then it'll all work.
It's good to have
respect for
policies
each
and
other.
procedures
Respect
and
for
have
each other.
dates you reviewed them. Another part of this is maybe every January, we have a or prior to, do a committee meeting where we review all policies.
At your organizational meeting.
Along those lines, do we have a fall retreat plan for this year or not? Are we,
Right, yeah.
okay.
Let's do it the first week of December.
Because we were having it early, first week of
We were
December.
thinking maybe we push it off till spring.
That way it just encompasses the new incoming,
People.
they will be members of the council at that time.
Wednesday, January 1st at 12:01 a.m. That's when you would have the new council members.
Oh, New Year's Day?
Yep.
That's when the new members
That's
become
like-
new
That's
members.
when they-
I mean,
That's
I'm
not
not-
what the meeting's gonna be.
That's
Yeah.
when their terms
Yeah.
start.
After they get sworn in the first time.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you, Cindy.
We could do it between the 14th and the 29th, or we could do it before the 14th. Excuse me.
We're talking about-
13th and 28th of January.
Of January?
Or we can do it, they're sworn in on the 13th, correct? Or do we swear them in at the December meeting?
Yeah, sure am.
They've been working on their
It's
Christmas
been-
cards.
But it doesn't take effect until January
Right.
1st.
I think we'll probably do it at the December meeting.
Oh,
That's when the swearing-in ceremony will be.
I'm sorry. I had a question I should have brought up during my council comments.
We quit about it.
The property maintenance code, do we have an update on that person?
We can bring him in probably the meeting, in the last meeting in October.
Cool.
So, yeah.
So I'm still not clear as to when we're having the retreat. I guess we'll just figure it out.
Later.
Yep.
We've been all over
The tea leaves will tell us.
What
absolutely.
is, I don't understand the tea leaves. We'll talk after.
You never had you never seen the tea leaves, like soothsayers?
No.
You can't mess with that stuff.
Gypsies
So you get
give your
demons.
fortune sometimes by looking into your tea leaves. Google it.
The 8-ball. The magic 8-ball is what we had.
Usually that's when we get our four-year training and a couple other things and some other plans. Anyway,
Well, it's still
right.
only September. We've got a while for
Saturday, we might have a new town.
manager,
by then who will be able
all
to
right.
work on
Moving
the
right along. Madam
retreat.
Treasurer.
The only thing I'm just gonna give y'all an overview of. The general fund, we're still negative because of all the hits that we had within the year, but we're fine. I think we're gonna be okay. We just have to let our revenue catch up with our initial expenses. Water funds are also negative, but the water fund just had a big hit for maintaining the county water tower. So we take care of that, which comes along with the water line. So we just had to do a contract on maintenance, I'm not sure which one, but that was about $20,000. And we're negative $7,000, so it'll catch up. But that was a big expense. Sewer fund, healthy, it's fine. I did notice a trend that property tax and personal property and real estate tax is coming in slower this year. It used to come in a little faster. I don't know why, but I'm sure we do have a deadline. So we'll see a difference maybe in this last week. Is this the last week? No, it's October 1st, so
They spend on groceries.
maybe
Yes,
so.
there you go,
Maybe so.
Timmy. There you go.
Okay.
And
We already
gas.
talked about the ARPA deadline, so please continue to keep that in mind.
The election has the gas prices coming down. So anyway,
Very, very little.
The budget amendments, again, I usually bring them for carryovers and things like that. That budget amendment carryover that I placed in last year will help, like with the landscaping and the depot. I left some over to bring over in this budget. That's what Rob was saying, that I had some money. But I took the full $500,000 that you all had allocated, and I let the project continue. So we didn't use it all with the parking lot and sidewalk and everything. So we did have some left over. So I'm gonna bring it over in for the landscaping, and I hope it's enough. And I had one more thing I wanted to let you know about our conversation on the MOU. Everything is working right now, and payment is okay for the sheriff, so I do still recommend we revisit that to get more detail into it. It's a bare minimum very bare MOU out there right now. It's working to get him paid, but you all should revisit what you talked about before. And on the other side, your question about end of the year and funds left over, they're gonna categorize it per our request as a donation. So when you donate, those funds get restricted. So they will stay, if it's unused, it will stay in the police fund. We make it as a donation to the county.
Who is going to categorize it?
I talked to the sheriff department, and that's how she's gonna put it on the books. So that everything that we give with all those line items will be categorized as a donation from the town to the county, which restricts it to stay where it is.
From here forward, but not for what,
Say, for example, end of the year, and we have some left over. in
Right,
the
because
dollar
there was a
account,
situation.
It cannot go into their general fund. It has to stay in the dollar.
Who
Because
designed
we
all
leave
that?
it. It's how you classify it.
How, who classified?
How we classify it.
Yeah, it's a donation, and they accept it as a donation.
It can be direct.
So why are we calling it a line item?
It's a donation to those lines. So they can't, it cannot be taken into the general fund in the county. It stays.
well, what about the money? Was there any leftover money from this past year? It was my understanding, and the county said if you hadn't spent it, no, you're not getting it for your,
Okay,
we're gonna put it in our general fund. That's what happened.
right.
So
Well,
what about that money?
I'll say this, last year was the first year you all ever did anything beyond salaries. So we know the salaries are already pre-calculated.
Okay,
So I can't, only other thing you did was the dog amount. So, I mean, I can check, it was 6,000, so if it's any left over.
the counties put it in their general fund.
Yeah, couldn't be.
It could,
And that's
but I
not the
don't know.
purpose of the money that when we gave it to,
I'll say this.
I'm
we
not
used
happy
it
over that.
For the kennel and for the food and for the vet bills. I doubt, you know, to get into, I mean, it's up to you. I can find out, but I don't think,
I think you may run into spending more of your time
okay.
than is the amount that's left over.
But this year, you all donated quite a bit more.
Yeah.
In several.
But they're
times.
directed donations.
Yeah, so.
the director, so
yeah.
we put a stop
This
to
is
that.
the first year that we have truly donated.
That certainly did grieve my heart when I heard that. That was not the intention of the funds that the town council and the town government gave, and the procedure is to give it to the county, and it's for the sheriff's office, not for the county's general fund. And some of that money was put in the general fund, or will be put in the general funds, and that does not make me happy.
Now, I know that's the custom of,
Not skirting around it, not dancing around it, I'm saying it out loud.
but I can't speak to,
I know you
I
can.
can't say that's for sure.
Yeah.
That happened last year, I can't. I mean, that may be how they do their internal,
Mm-hmm.
that whoever in there, they have several more funds and departments than we have.
Right.
So I don't know if that's their internal policy, but,
But I
do
think that
know
was
if it's a
spoken about
donation,
at
you
a
can't do that.
county meeting. I might be wrong.
Okay.
I think it was spoken about during a county public open meeting. But,
For the sheriff?
well, the sheriff came before them and said, I haven't spent it all, but I have other things I can use it for, and
Okay.
that was denied. And I might be wrong, but that was I was given to understand that. And that grieves my heart.
Well, I will say this year with all the new line items, it shouldn't happen. You know.
Good.
I have it
Yay.
in writing.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And town manager, Mr. Fowler.
Just, sir, I will get this information to Mr. Hodges, get this process rolling on the grant, and I will get the information on the landscaping to you, so we can get that going. And I'll check with Tori tomorrow to recap the VDOT maintenance for the landscaping. Cindy's reached out to the War Museum to get access to the space for the interviews, we'll get that confirmed. And I'll send you the candidates for the public work, the 2 or 3 that we have. That's pretty much it, and I'll follow up with David to get the well information going, and I'll reach out to Mr. Eller and see if he's willing to serve as a consultant on that.
And we're still doing the lunch, is that this Friday?
This Friday.
I'll try to get here for the lunch. I don't know, my work is kind
That's
of
fine.
crazy. But
Mr. Fowler's going to go through the questions and try to categorize them and give them to me and as quickly as we can. And we'll just try to do our best to answer them. Everybody's invited. Cindy, once we get it categorized, I'll get you to distribute to each of the council members. So y'all have a copy. If you have any comments and you don't think you're going to be able to be here, send it back to Rob so we've got your input.
So what's your purpose? I'm just,
We're trying to answer their questions, alleviate any fears they're having, hopefully,
You know how I feel about it.
hopefully let them feel that they're part of the team, that we're all trying to work together, and that's what I hope we are trying to do, because like I said, the team's gotten smaller, we've got to get the new quarterback on board. The new right guard to make sure the water's flowing. Uphill when it needs to, downhill when it needs to.
Exactly.
so she will
Communication.
share the list with all of us?
Yes.
All right.
Rob's going to categorize it out because it is about
and the answers are coming from you.
about 50 or 60 questions. I will be there, and any other council members, excuse me,
Could we,
Corrections?
50 to 60
could we
questions.
just,
Or
I feel
comments.
more comfortable, I mean, it's ultimately, we're all responsible, they're responsible to us and we're responsible to them. Could we just have the unredacted list of the questions, how they
Yeah.
were originally presented?
I think that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, right now.
Any of the questions that cannot be talked about due to the potential that you wouldn't talk about it in any form, HR-related stuff, that we cannot answer in an open forum, we won't respond to. We'll just have to explain, hey, we understand these questions. This is not a forum where we can answer that question specifically. Generally, here's what we're attempting to do, type stuff.
Well, it's not just that this is not a forum, it is that any HR issues about a certain employee is absolutely, you cannot discuss it with
verboten.
other,
Yes.
not as well as, not just the public, with other employees. You don't do that, ever.
Is that in a format where you could just forward it tonight? I'm just kind of curious.
Actually, I have it.
I'll send my list back. I spaced it out a little bit, so that's all. Just give some line space between paragraphs.
One concern I have with it is in a public place, you having this in a public place, and who's gonna be in that restaurant listening to all of what we talk about?
No, we're having are we having
It's
a luncheon here?
That's here, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
meet us at Taco
All
Well.
right, I was just redact that.
They're bringing the food to us.
But at the same
that-
time, anybody from the public can attend.
Yes.
It's an open meeting.
Just like tonight.
I think transparency is nice in the workplace. I know we're not a common workplace, but it's important that they feel heard and that they don't
Supported.
get some kind of blanket response. I mean, as appropriate as it could be. Because it may make or break some of them, you know. I'm worried if I don't hear what I want to hear or they don't, you know, I can't speak for the employees, but I don't know. I've been an employee before and been lied to or
Yeah.
danced around, and it's just not a good place to be in. But decisions have to be made, so I get that too.
And towns have to be run a certain way, and if it don't suit you, you move on,
Yeah.
on that part, I mean.
And decisions have to be
Well,
made,
a lot of
the
rules and
best
regulations.
practices for
Well-
running the town and financially also. And that is up to management to do that. And the council is part of the management team. So, and we can't explain every decision we make. It would be impossible to do that for anybody.
Yeah.
Any
And I
business.
think just telling them
This
that-
is why we made that decision.
Yeah.
Why did you make that decision? I mean, to be questioned,
Yeah, and I think they just want to hear like that, just what you
right.
said. This,
The best
you know,
practices is what we try. We don't always hit the mark, but we try.
Yeah.
Best practices and most economical.
But we have had a year of chaos and people leaving, and it's been, I think, even beyond this past, 10 months or 12 months, it's been a lot of hot and cold in terms of moving forward with something or ending something, or, and just getting direction. So
Yep.
I do hold us
I'll agree with
responsible,
that.
and we haven't operated at the highest degree of functionality, but we've had a lot that we've gone through, and losing key staff can cause a lot of disruption. So I think it's more about just showing them that we're committed to the right direction.
When the staff left, that did, we really can't blame ourselves for the reasons they left. There's two key people. They had their own reasons, but hopefully it wasn't because they were mad or angry at
it's not
anything the
assigning
council had done.
blame.
So kind of when you said that, it kind of made it sound like, well, and I mean, they had their own reasons, and it wasn't always about us. It wasn't about us. It was personal reasons.
I just wanted to let y'all know too, we're 6 full-time people down.
We're what?
From a staff
6.
of 23 full-time people, we're a third down. I think it's just, a lot of overtime is up right now. People just want to know how long,
Those kind of questions
where
are
we
good,
going? Where are we
Yeah.
going? That's-
Y'all will see the questions, so
Yeah.
you'll know what to expect. And like I said,
So how many employees do we
6
have?
down right now.
out of
6.
23
Yeah.
full-time employees,
Yes.
We're 6 down? 6
that's a quarter of the
down.
workforce.
Yeah. that's
Just
it,
over a
yeah.
quarter.
Right.
Yeah.
We're doing our best to fill those key positions as quickly as
But
we
that's
can.
not just us. You look around at all the companies around, Horizon, et cetera, and a lot of
For this to work,
companies.
for this to work.
So for
on
to
Friday-
say that, oh, well, we're at fault because that happens.
That's just a fact. I was
Yeah,
just stating.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
that we're
yeah.
just down.
I get it.
and
I
that
get what you're
affects the mood
saying.
and the questions and the
And
attitude.
the roles are
Yeah.
just so.
And the burnout.
Yeah.
That's
What you really get is burnout when you're doing
that's
all
what
this
I was
extra
trying to say.
work.
That might be.
But I mean, it's not, I guess what I was trying to say is not unique to the town because something bad had happened and it's management's fault. This is the environment we are living in, right down to Mickey D's and all the way up to the, highest level. People are shorthanded.
What time we plan on starting Friday?
Said 10,
It starts at 10.
10.
And just keep in mind that a little love goes a long way. It really
Yeah,
does.
really.
Draw love hearts and
to-
stick them on the
and
wall.
to have a good work buddy that you can confide in.
Yeah,
Me and Jane were that for each other at the nursing home, and that was,
yeah.
That was good.
I won't say what it was on camera, but it was rough. It was really rough.
And it still is.
Because if you had to say, "Oh, I'm looking at leaving," okay, well, she's my friend. I'm looking at leaving too, and then you go from 6 to 12 in no time.
Yeah.
And that does happen.
It absolutely does.
It happens with other cities. Oh, if I go to this city, and that's fine. Yeah, we could say we can replace them, but I'd like to keep who we have. But
Mr. Simpson, you wanted to
yep,
say
go
something?
ahead, Nathan.
Well, I just think, as we go into Friday, just even kind of the line of reasoning you were going down, we can hold those beliefs ourselves, but it's not the place to bring that up.
I agree.
We don't need to be defensive.
And I'm not,
justify
I didn't
actions.
say I was going to bring it up. I'm just saying here in this environment, we were asked, so it's okay to give my opinion. And it's public.
Okay. Any other
It's
business
on,
come before the town council at this time?
Can't think of a thing.
Timmy's got his mic off. Would you like the honor, sir?
Oh, well, thank you. I make the motion that we adjourn.
I second it.
Motion made, properly seconded for adjournment. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.